Good afternoon and good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and coffee stream number 169. Take the one away from that, and you've got an awesome number. And today is Friday Guest Day, and I'm joined today by Maddy from Mad Woman Media. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. I've got my coffee and I've watched my Star Trek for tomorrow, so I'm all good.
Cool.
I'm all good. So, I'm fairly sure a lot of people know who you are, but what do you do with on your? Because you've got two channels, right?
Yeah.
You've got a main, the Mad Woman Media channel, and then you've got Maddy's House of Geek.
Yep.
Both links are in the description, by the way, guys. Go check those out. So what's the main channel for?
The main channel used to be a hodgepodge, but over the last couple of years has basically narrowed itself down to covering the news the way Ronan and I think it should be covered, because he and I started this idea together. We think the news should just be the facts, read and presented to the people, and let the people think, and draw their own conclusions instead of injecting our own opinions into the stories and being more commentators than reporters. So that's what the main channel is about. And recently, with all this mess with the abortion bills going on, it's more focused on all the state abortion bills to sort through and break down all the mess. That way people aren't confused with what's in each bill.
That sounds like a lot of work.
The legalese makes my eyes crossed. I'm not lying.
I saw your tweet yesterday saying I'm either gonna, I can't remember what the first one was, but then you're like, or I'm gonna go to or turn to booze or something like that, because you've just been slogging away dealing with the the Ohio bill right now that you're.
Yeah.
Oh
The
man.
Ohio bill, the Ohio bill right now, and so far I'm just about halfway through the bill, and there isn't any mention of a time limit. In other words, no 6 or 8 weeks so far, but the way they've been structuring these bills, they don't put that time limit till close to the end, which is frustrating, because I'm like, can't you just do that in the beginning and then just outline everything else from there? Because it'd be so easy.
But that would make sense.
It would. So far, I've got the Missouri and the Ohio bills are congruent in that neither one of them allow for any mental problems that the mother may have during the pregnancy or any potential postpartum depression that she may have that'll harm the child. So there's no mental aspects to those bills as far as a reason for abortion is concerned. But what is clear about these two bills is that they're targeting the doctors.
Okay. So, yeah, I've noticed that in most of these bills is that they go after the doctors and not the women.
Yeah.
So they're making the doctors too afraid.
Yeah,
to help the women get abortions, and yeah.
Yeah. It's all around of the Ohio makes it clear that if informed consent isn't given to the mother and she doesn't sign off that she's received all this information about the gestation period of a child and what all abortion entails, then the fault can be on the doctor that way. But the doctor has to prove, the only way that they can avoid these felonies being a doctor is if they can prove that the abortion was done because it was a medical emergency. Otherwise, they'll be in trouble.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, and I've never been. I'm a weird person. I'm pro-choice, but anti using birth control or using abortion as birth control.
Yeah, so am I. It's like, to me, and Ronan and I discuss this back and forth a lot. If you're going to have a time limit, because of the way a woman's body works, and not all of them work the same, having 12 weeks to decide whether or not you want to carry this child to term is perfectly reasonable. because there are people out there that are on contraceptives, that are watching that clock, that make sure that their partner's wearing a condom, and everything just goes wrong. They wind up being that 1% of the population that the birth control doesn't work on, the condom breaks, and she finds herself pregnant, but she's not in any kind of position to have a child.
Yeah.
In that case, that's fine with me to have that 12-week window to say, all right, I don't want to bring a child in this world that I can't support and raise correctly. And, I don't think the state should pay for abortions unless it's in cases of rape, incest, or a medical emergency after it's been determined that the mother can't flip the bill.
Yeah. Like, I knew someone who was told she couldn't get pregnant. So, like, by doctors. So she and her partner were like, okay, I was told by doctors I can't get pregnant. So they didn't use anything, right?
Yeah.
And she ended up being pregnant. And she went and got an abortion because she was not ready to have a kid. And let me tell you, I'm not friends with this person anymore, but she was not ready to have a child. Like, she would have screwed that kid up beyond belief.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, like, and for the people who say, well, there's always adoption. People like that who aren't ready to carry or to care for an alive child are not going to be ready to take care of an in utero child to give to someone else.
Yeah.
So you're going to have these children put up for adoption who most likely did not have the most ideal conditions while they were being gestated.
Yeah.
And so they're probably going to have some issues.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like I said, if you are clearly not ready to be a mother, you shouldn't be forced to be a mother, because then you're going to raise a generation of just animal children.
It's like I'm getting a lot of constructive feedback on a couple of the bills. Like one lady, and I completely agreed with, I don't know if they're a lady or a dude, but one commenter said that in the case where the father wants to raise a child and the mother does not, then the mother should be able to sign papers saying that they're absolved of any and all financial responsibilities because they didn't want the child to begin with, even though the father does. Which places the mother in a surrogate position, and after the child is born, it goes to the person who fathered the child, which I completely understand. And likewise, and this is in the case of an oops, because oops has happened. I mean, let's be realistic. If the mom wants the baby and the father was not planning on having a baby, cannot financially support the baby, and did not want a child, then the commenter said then paperwork should be filed that states that the father absolves himself from any and all responsibility and contact with the child since they didn't want the child to begin with. And I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are women out there, and some people argued with me that this isn't the case, even though I have heard plenty of cases growing up where the woman tries to trick the guy into staying in the relationship by getting pregnant, and it only made matters worse.
Yep.
So, I can see this commenter's point of view, and I agreed with their comment, because there's got to be these kind of, agreements if those situations happen. And, likewise to me, putting all the onus of the abortion, if it's illegal, on the doctor isn't right, because the doctor didn't approach the woman and ask the woman if she wanted an abortion. She walked into the office to get one.
Yeah.
So she should have some sort of responsibility for obtaining that illegal abortion.
Yeah, it's not like the doctors are walking around on the streets. Abortions? Anyone want abortions? Anyone anywhere?
Get your kid vacuumed out for only $10K. No. It's ridiculous. I think the notion that some of these people have, because when I was pregnant with Rona and mine's child, due to family reasons, we wound up being separated because my family was being fed completely wrong information about Ronan. So he stepped out of the picture so as not to cause any problems between me and my family. And
That's rough.
yeah, it was. And so she took me to the doctor right before, I think I was 10 weeks pregnant at this time. So I still had 2 weeks to make the decision because Georgia used to have the 12-week law.
Yeah.
And so the nurse is sitting there and she's explaining to me my options. She's explaining to me, what adoption entails if I want to carry it to term, and then I could carry it and keep it. And then she went through the entire process. I mean, she went into detail about what an abortion was. And when she said, and then we scrape the uterine wall to make sure all the membrane is gone, I'm like, you just said scrape.
Yeah.
My insides. She goes, yeah, just to make sure there isn't any tissue or membrane left. I'll keep him.
Yeah.
She started laughing. She goes, you're not the only one that says that when I get to the scrape part. I said, it's just that word, scrape. And innards, it's like, no, thank you.
I had my doctor asked me when I was pregnant with my first son, because I was on a particular medication for my like mood. It was like a mood stabilizer.
Yeah.
And the doctor was like, there's, because you were taking this pill, there's a 1% chance your son could have, or your kid could have spina bifida. Do you want to keep the baby still? I'm like, yeah. 1%. Wow.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it's like the Missouri bill literally put clauses in the bill saying that it is illegal to have an abortion if the child is not the sex you wanted or if the child tests positive for Down syndrome. They literally have that written in the bill.
see, but the Down syndrome tests are fairly far along in the pregnancy. You're like, I believe you're about 16 to 18 weeks when you get those done.
Yeah.
And that, at that time, that be a fetus inside you.
Yeah.
That be a human. You go get an ultrasound, there be a head, there be arms, there be legs, there be a body, there be a face. It's a human at that point.
Oh yeah. And I've been, several, this was a few weeks for months on and off. I get into these discussions on Twitter, and one lady was like, well, no, it doesn't damage the woman. I said, medically induced abortions, like the morning after pill or any medicines you take to cause an abortion. No, but getting a physical surgical abortion will eventually cause scar tissue on the inside of the uterus and, decrease your chance of being able to carry a child.
Yeah.
You're doing damage to yourself because they literally go in there and make sure there's no membrane left, and there's only one way to do that. And it's
that's making me cringe just thinking about it.
Right? Right. And it's like these women are like, well, I just did that. Look, I'm 45 years old. I have been using an app called Fertility Frame. I am 5 years from, on average, women go into menopause at 50. So I'm a little under 5 years left to go before I hit, and I don't have to worry about buying pads or tampons. Thank God that can't come too soon. But I digress. And I've been using this app, and it's been absolutely accurate to the point where Ronan and I have not found ourselves, expecting a child.
Yeah.
And this is just following a calendar that tracks your cycle.
Yep.
It's like these women don't want the responsibility of taking care of their own bodies. It's like it's your body. You only have one. I can understand if you don't want to take contraceptives because they screw with your hormones in order for you, not to be fertile. I get that. I've been on contraceptives. Okay, I totally understand that. And I totally understand the whole, the excuse that everybody gives. Well, condoms just take, the sensation out, and then blah, 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 blah.
You know what takes the sensation out of blah, 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 blah? Mommy!
Yeah. especially right in the middle of it when you know you put them to sleep, and then yeah.
Whether you got a condom on or not, mommy is a mood killer.
Yes, exactly. And it's just they want to fight for this stuff, and I'm like, why? I can see it in cases of rape and incest. I can see it if it's a medical emergency and it's either a life or death situation, or you're going to be severely disabled for the rest of your life if you carry this child to term. I get that. Those situations happen. Those situations aren't great situations. God forbid it happens to a woman, but they happen.
Yes.
Okay, but having an abortion just for the sake of having an abortion because, oops, I'm pregnant and I don't want the kid, even though you haven't been on birth control, that's on you because you weren't taking care of yourself and doing everything you could not to get pregnant.
Absolutely. And I'm so sick of these third wave feminists with the men are 100% responsible for all unwanted pregnancies. Yeah, fuck you.
Yeah, I literally responded to two of them on Twitter going, a woman is only fertile about 4 days out of the cycle. So who's actually responsible for, getting pregnant?
Yeah, it's keep track of your stuff. And if you're irregular, freaking make your guy wear a condom.
Yeah. I really don't think this.
What, $10 for a box of condoms versus how much a month for diapers?
Right? Exactly. And then, the other thing that keeps floating around misconception is, a mother can go to jail if she has a miscarriage. No. The clarity of that I'm seeing in these bills is if it can be proven that she has gone out of her way to injure herself in order to cause the miscarriage to happen, she cannot be arrested for having a regular miscarriage. Spontaneous abortion is a medical term for a miscarriage. Don't ask me why.
We were talking about that on the beginning before the stream started. Spontaneous abortion, you just think it and I will be done.
Right. It's like spontaneous is a word that literally means on the spur of the moment with no forethought. So she just woke up one morning and went, I'm going to have an abortion today.
Yeah.
Really? No. Just call it a miscarriage because spontaneous abortion just sounds so wrong in so many ways.
What would you call just a regular period then?
I have no clue.
If it's a miscarriage is a spontaneous abortion. Oh God.
I don't know.
What lawmakers just stop. Stop.
Yeah, what medical board came up with that? Well, it's a miscarriage. Well, we need to make it sound a little better. Well, how are we going to do that? Well, how about spontaneous abortion? No.
That'll make it seem like I've actually heard women say that miscarriage is blaming the woman for not being able to carry her baby to term. No, so you shouldn't call it a miscarriage.
No, well, to me, a miscarriage is a lot better than the other term because a few years ago when I had my miscarriage, it was not due to anything that I did. I was literally walking across the parking lot to a truck stop that was uneven, and I tripped and fell on the pavement. And I was still in my first trimester, which is, that very iffy part of the pregnancy where you really got to take care of yourself. And that's what wound up causing the miscarriage. And it proves that it takes so little to cause one that if a woman were to go out of her way to actually cause one because she didn't want the kid she was carrying, how hard would that be to prove?
Yeah.
And then you have, the doctors getting slapped with these felonies and these fines and this jail time because they performed this illegal abortion. And in Ohio, it would be a misdemeanor if they performed one without the informed consent being signed off on. In other words, if they didn't tell the woman, and they go through immense detail of what they mean by informed consent. Not only the 3 options and not only describing in detail what an abortion is, but also describing in detail week by week the gestation of the child.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Someone in chat says, "Wouldn't a period be called an unfertilized abortion?"
Yeah. Girl, that's funny, Pete. I like that.
Oh, I like that too. That's amusing.
Yeah. It's just, and then, you have, I think it's Georgia that allows abortions during case of mental distress, but Alabama, Missouri, and Ohio so far don't have that clause in their bills. They're going purely physical medical problems.
Yeah.
Alabama doesn't have clauses for rape or incest as far as exceptions for abortions. Missouri has them, but only if they're a minor.
Oh.
Yeah. If they're under the age of 18 and find themselves pregnant due to rape or incestuous relationships, then an abortion is perfectly legal, which to me is fine because you're protecting the children, the minor in the situation, but you're leaving out adults that can often find themselves, in that position, at least in the case of rape.
Exactly.
And it's like, okay, we're going to protect the children here in Missouri, but we're not going to do anything about the adults. Y'all on your own. Wow. Okay. And then I'm not only looking up the bills, but every time they say class, insert class of felony here, I'm like, great. And I have to look up the state law and include it in the video.
Yay.
The thing is, hi, thanks for giving me more work. Like reading legalese isn't hard enough to do because you people don't know what layman's English is.
Legalese is just try. At least you get to just look at a screen. Could you imagine having a robot voice read you legalese?
I couldn't.
Because that's what I had when I was doing. Because I tried to take a couple of law classes up in back when I was in school, and like, holy crap, doing all the projects and stuff, just listening to all the legalese read to me through a screen reader was just, oh my god, I couldn't do it.
He was like, when I first started on this, and the first legal document I bumped in, I can't remember which one it was. I was in my Discord with a couple of my friends, and we're going through this, and I got quiet all of a sudden. And my friend Mitch went, "You got quiet." I said, "My eyes just crossed. I'm having a derp moment. Give me a second, because my brain just went, I have got no clue what I just read." Because it's like, can you just, and they repeat themselves. I'm like, you've already defined it. You've already mentioned it once. Don't mention it again. Quit repeating yourself. The bill would be a lot shorter if they took out all the repetition.
Yep.
Oh, it's like they'll mention what they mean by medical emergency, and then couple of pages of new precedent or the new proposal they want for this thing, and then they'll repeat the medical emergency thing again, and they'll do this 3 or 4 times. I'm like, all right, that's 2 pages that you could have just left out because you're repeating yourself.
I find lawyers often do that. It's like they're paid by the word on top of their freaking consultation fees and their retainers, and oh, I get to write a legal document? All right, paid by the word. Let's go.
I used to be a receptionist for a law firm, and at that time I was typing maybe 25, 30 words a minute.
Oh, wow.
Hey, RJ. And so the managing partner of the legal firm was a retired JAG officer from the Navy. And so he came out with a 25-page motion for me to type. Now remember, 25, 30 words a minute, 30-page motion. About the 4th time he came out to see if I was done yet, the office manager, who types at 90 words a minute, said, "You gave her a 30-page motion. She only types 25, 30 words a minute, Mr. Braylow. You'll be lucky if you get it by the end of the day and not tomorrow."
Yep.
Like you should have thought this through just a little bit more there, Mr. Prelo. But looking over her shoulder isn't going to make her type any faster. Just so you know.
That's lawyers.
Yeah. It was just, I was watching her type one day while I was filing, because not really watching her, but listening to her, and you'd hear the tick, 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 and then she'd stop for a few seconds. And then you hear the tick, 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 and then stop. But the third time she did this, I'm like, are we taking breaks over there? She goes, no, I type at 90 words a minute. The computer only does 75.
Yeah.
I went,
it has to catch up.
Yeah.
I used to type before the screen readers got a bit better, and I was on a Windows machine because I'm on a Mac now. But when I was on a Windows machine, the screen reader I would type so fast, and my screen reader would be like it was such a resource hog that pretty much all of my RAM capacity would be taken up, no matter what I closed, because of the screen reader. So I would type, and then I'd have to stop, and my screen reader would just go catch up. It sounded like a robot dolphin.
I was like, I got hired as a bilingual receptionist. Now there was Mr. Prelo, who was an EEOC lawyer. We had Mr. Kennison, who was a business lawyer and business law, and he also had somebody employed under him that did collections. We had, I can't remember her name, but she was an immigration lawyer. And then we had Mr. Johnson, who was a criminal lawyer. Now, I went through this training, and then I had to answer the phone, and I said, excuse me in Spanish, give me 1 second. I put my hand over the phone, and I looked at my trainer, and I went, what's fianza? She explained it to me, and went, oh, okay. And I went on got off the phone. Mr. Prella goes, I thought you spoke Spanish. I said, I do, but I've never had the unfortunate happenstance of having any one of my relatives incarcerated for me to know that fianza means bail or bond. I said, can you tell me in all honesty that you know and have used every single word in the English language? He went, good point. And he went back into his office. I was like,
well, that's true, right? There are some English words that you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Did you just make that up?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it gets me because, oh, yeah, I speak Spanish. I speak the Spanish that I was grown, that I grew up speaking. And there are lots of words that I haven't used and probably don't know the meaning of because I've never been put in those situations.
Yeah.
So it's natural for me to go, what's that word? Wait a minute, let me ask. And then you've got the different dialects because when you're talking Castilian Spanish and just Castilian Spanish versus Cuban, there's so many words that are slang in Cuban that in Castilian mean something completely different.
Well, if you go to Spain and ask for a carro, you're not going to get a car. Right,
exactly. And it's like my friend Ruth asked me one day, she goes, what is that thing you're putting in Paul's mouth? Say it in Spanish. I said, un tetera, un tete. She picks up a Spanish-English dictionary. She goes, so you're sticking a teapot in his mouth. I'm like, so when you get a Cuban to English dictionary, then we'll be able to communicate effectively. Un tete, un tetera. She goes, oh, okay, because in this word, it's a teapot. And she pointed to it. I'm like, yeah, that's Castilian Spanish. So that's like the difference between American and the Queen's English.
Yeah, exactly. I love, so you're of Cuba. I guess you're of Cuban descent then.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool. Were you born here or here? Were you born in the States or were you born in Cuba?
I was born here. Both of my parents were born in Cuba.
Okay. Do you have siblings?
Nope, I'm the only one like Tigger.
The only one like Tigger. That's awesome. I was an only child myself for almost 10, 11 years. And my mom met this other guy who had a daughter who came over on the weekends. And then my mom and him had my little sister when I was 12. So I was, and then my dad and his wife adopted two biological siblings when I was right around the same at 12.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was an only child for pretty much my whole, formative formative years, and then when I got to be a teenager, I got to be the babysitter.
I was like, my parents, my mom told me later on when I was in high school that it's not that they didn't want to adopt a sibling for me. It's that they were always afraid of adopting a child, getting attached to the child, and then the biological parents coming back, winning, a court lawsuit or civil, the paternity suit, and then the child they adopted being taken away from them.
Mm.
They didn't want to go through that, and they didn't want to put me through that. So because of that fear, I grew up an only child all my life.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I had plenty of friends. I had one friend that had two older sisters and two younger sisters.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and she said that her family always joked that was one too many for a tennis team and one too short for a volleyball team. But yeah, I've had friends that have had siblings, and then it just always seemed that no matter what group I was in, we were so close knit that we all considered each other, brothers and sisters, and a lot of times people were older than me, so I was always the little sister of the group.
Found family's always good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our two sons are 3 years apart, and I find that's a great age gap because they're not too far apart, so that the oldest one resents the younger one, and they're not too close in age that they're fighting for the exact same thing and the exact same type of attention.
Yeah.
So it is a good balance, I think.
It's like Ronan has two younger brothers. He did have a younger sister, but she passed away a couple of years ago to cancer. So she lost her battle of cancer a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's no good. Cancer is ridiculously awful.
It's just her decline was so rapid. It was just absolutely shocking because she went to the doctor thinking she was having a gallbladder problem, and she was one of these people that didn't like going to doctors to begin with. And so she went to the emergency room thinking that she was having a gallbladder problem, only to realize that she was in the terminal stages of cancer of the liver, one lung, and parts of her spine.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so there was obviously not much they could do.
They tried to give her chemo, but since they couldn't nail down the type of cancer it was, they kept giving her like two different types of chemotherapy, and her decline was so rapid because her body couldn't handle the chemo. And it's like, damn, it's just, you just watched her. And her mother came to try and take care of her, and I'm always the kind of person. My grandfather had a philosophy: if you can't find the funny in the situation, get out of the situation. So whenever she would come from a chemo treatment, you'd always have the nausea and all the stuff. And I was staying up nights to keep an eye on her. So
Yeah.
I walked in one night to check on her, and she had just finished throwing up. And I'm like, you're going to need an intervention with all these parties you go to. We keep telling you all this going to catch up to you sooner or later, and it would make her smile.
That's fun.
The best one I think was she had come from chemo, and she said there was a woman there that knitted caps for all the chemo patients, and she was wearing one of the caps that the lady had given her. So what I did was I said, and here's Miss Susie, sporting the latest in fall headgear for the cancer patient. Her with that nice little flower on the skull cap as she walks toward the door with confidence. And she's sitting here walking like she's walking a catwalk with a smile on her face.
That's amazing.
And she looked at me and she goes, I don't know how you do it, but you make me laugh every day. I said, because you have to laugh. Because if
You
you're not
do.
laughing, you're crying.
You do. I said that last week in the Lords of the Night chat because I was wearing my I've got a pair of Bluetooth headphones that sit on my ears, not in, just so I can hear better.
Yeah.
But apparently on this particular night, I was not paying attention, went to leave Pincalo's office and turned too soon. I thought I was in the hallway, but I was not. I was still in the room and face met door. And so I'm just laughing in chat because I just ate a door frame. And everyone's like, blind press, like that's horrible. Why were that sounds painful. Why would you laugh at that? I'm like, because as being blind, I've walked into a lot of shit. If I cried at everything I hurt myself on, I would be crying a lot. Save the tears for the stuff that really, really hurts.
Yeah.
And then laugh off the stuff. Like, yeah, it hurt, but there was no blood, there was no bump, it was just, ow,
Just like,
stupid idiot.
yeah. It's like I used to work in convenience stores. Those were my first jobs. And in one convenience store I used to work at, there was this deaf couple that used to come in. The woman was absolutely hilarious because I caught on real quick to the fact that she could read lips. So I assumed that he could. And at that time, way back then, I knew how to finger spell and I knew a few signs.
Okay.
And I was looking at him, trying to hold a conversation with him because he was the one at the register. And she looked at me. She's, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm talking to him so he could read up my lips." She goes, "No. He doesn't know how to read lips. He's illiterate." And I just looked at her and she just smiled like, "Yeah, I meant to do that." You know, I was like, I meant to do that. And there was one time they had come in on a Saturday. They bought hot dogs and chips and soda, and they were sitting down. And every time he wanted to talk, his hands were full. About the third or fourth time he tried to say something, she signed and said out loud so I could hear it and laugh. I know she did it on purpose because she didn't have to say it this loud. She goes, "Will you please put your food down? You're talking with your hands full and I can't understand a single word you're signing."
That's funny.
I'm like, oh my God, this woman is hilarious.
That is great. Just, oh my God, that's funny as hell.
It's you know, meeting people like that just it just, I've got people in my family that are adopted in, and then I've got my cousin JV that before the age of 2 had all the operations necessary for colitis.
Oh.
Yeah, he was getting sick. And at that time, the philosophy in our family is, well, if you don't feel good, here's a glass of milk.
Not good for colitis.
And then, well, they didn't know at the time. By the time they got him to the doctor and they had the tests run, it was the lactose in the milk that had eaten his entire lining of his stomach and put polyps in his colon.
Oh.
So he started all that. But he was, this little Spitfire was, you go in there to visit him after a major operation, and he'd be watching Justin Wilson, Yan Can Cook, and all these cooking shows, saying that he was going to cook us, you know, this Chinese Thanksgiving dinner and all this stuff. And, you know, when he got out of there, because he was going to learn how to cook, because he was going to eat everything that he wanted to eat. And it just never seemed to slow him down. And it was 4 years old. I think it was, 4, when they finally realized that he was ready for the final one to reconnect everything. Now imagine being 2 to 4 years old, well, before 2 to the age of 4 with a colostomy bag.
God damn. I actually went to daycare with a little boy who had a colostomy bag.
Yeah. So by the time he was 4 years old, they figured he was ready for the final thing to reconnect everything. And we went down to Miami to visit, and he rounded the corner, and the first thing he said was, "Look, Nissan, no bag." And I went, good for you, JV, good for you. And that's what his mother's an intense bitch. Rounded the corner and she goes, his name is Javier. You name him is either Javier or Javi. And my cousin looked at her and he goes, she can call me JV because that's how I know it's her.
Aww.
Yeah, like she's the only one that can call me that nickname. Nobody else, just her. And he's to this day he's a spitfire and does whatever the hell he wants. You can't stop him.
That's adorable.
Yeah. We have a lot of people wonder where my sense of humor comes from, and I'm like, you got to look at my family because my whole family has a twisted sense of humor.
Yeah, mine do too. Like they always say, like my uncle used to say, people would say, "Oh, she's such a nice little child," and he'd be like, "Nah, we can't take her back. The headlights are broken."
Well, it's like I have bronchitis. I've had bronchitis all my life, and if the weather keeps adversely changing, then it comes back. And I usually, and when it's really bad, I spend the next 10, maybe 15 minutes of a morning until I can get like some hot coffee down my throat, as I put it, hacking up a lung. And that's, and somebody asked me, he goes, with all the lungs you've hacked up, it's amazing you still have a respiratory system. I said, my lungs are like Kenny, they regenerate. I hack 2 up every morning and they grow back during the day.
Yeah, check your logic. It's JV, like Javier,
Yeah.
but instead of saying Javi, she
Yep.
would say JV.
Yep.
We
had it was those 3 were Ramon Jr., which we call Ramoncito, Pablo, which is the middle kid, and Javier. And I remember when I because it was everybody was laughing. That's the only reason that I remember. First time I got to see meet my cousin Raymond Jr. I said, so what's his name? And they said, well, it's Raymond Jr. And I'm looking at my uncle Raymond, and I said, you didn't have an imagination? You couldn't think of anything else? And he looked at my mom, and he goes, yeah, she's your kid, brutally honest and a smart ass.
People used to tell me I was a smart ass, and I go, well, at least I'm smart.
Yeah. That's first, because I think I was 4. Yes. I was 6. He was 4. and he decided he was going to walk up to me in the yard and smack me with a stick, and I snatched the stick out of his hand and smacked him back.
As you do.
Yep, as you do. You got you got to teach your family members that you are not to be pushed around. Yeah, we have the only non-stereotypical names that we have in our family skep is my mom's name, which is Marta, without the H. She's very adamant about that. Mine, which is Anisa, and we have 1 Veronica in the family. The rest of them are Joes, Yolandas, Annas, Ramon, Javi. Yeah. So we have like 4 Yolandas in our family. So we have a family reunion. All of them are nicknamed, because if they weren't, you said Yolanda, you'd have 4 women looking at you going, which one?
Yeah. Yes. Can we help you?
Yeah. Which one did you want? I have an aunt named Millie, which is short for Milagro. And my mom looked at me and she goes, yes, I know that's Spanish for a miracle. I said, why did your mom call her Miracle? She goes, because with as big of a pain in the ass my sister was, it's a miracle she lasted this long. Maddy comes from Mad Woman Muses, which was my original name for my channel. Everybody calls me Maddy, except for Papa, who calls me Musy, which is fine. So yeah, that's where the Maddy came from.
Well, speaking of crazy Spanish chicks, did you hear about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her stupid vegetable crusade?
That woman makes me sad that I have Puerto Rican relatives. I swear to God. Every time she opens her mouth, stupid falls out. I'm like,
you want to you get this. Get this. So she thinks that cauliflower is the vegetable of colonizers.
Mm-hmm.
So this article, it starts off by saying wildly woke New York Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is now claiming cauliflower should be uprooted from community gardens because it's colonial.
Oh, boy.
AOC recently took to Instagram to dig up racism in the Big Apple's community gardens, which she believes are core to her proposed Green New Deal. Cauliflower is apparently the Ku Klux Klan of the vegetable world.
Oh, Lord, oh, Lord, oh, Lord, oh, Lord. Oh, my God.
Oh.
Now that I'm on a stream, I can say, yes, those of you that saw me the other night in Lords of the Night trying to correct Monkey, there's two different plants. There's the yucca plant, which is a root. It's a white, very fibrous root that you can boil and make a little sauce for to pour on top for you can eat, or you can fry it or bake it. Yucca is an actual succulent sort of cactus plant that can be used for medicinal purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So they are brain fart, y'all. They are pronounced two different ways on purpose. And there is no way yucca or yucca can grow in New York because both of them need temperate climates.
They also look nothing alike.
Exactly. And just when you think, this asinine occasional cortex can't get any dumber, she goes and does it.
I love that occasional cortex. Asinine occasional cortex. That's great.
Oh, this woman just brings out the worst in me whenever I see her with saying or tweeting something stupid. And every time I respond to her on Twitter, I always have that one person defending her, and he goes, "Well, you're already predisposed to thinking she's stupid." I said, "That's because she is. Yep. She hasn't proven to me yet that she isn't dumb. Now, when she does something funny, I'll give her credit for it. Like when she quote tweeted a senator and said, "New Congress, who dis?" That was funny. I give her credit for that. That was funny.
Or who wants to bet that she has seen many a garbage disposal in her life, and she's just pretending she's never seen a. Yeah. She's too rich not to have seen a garbage disposal before.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've never had one in my life, but I know what one is.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, the first time I heard one go off, I was a little kid, and not being able to see what was going on before it was turned on, I was like, what the fuck is going on, right? Yeah. But my family very quickly explained to me that was a garbage disposal, and I was fine.
I was like, the first time I saw one, I think I was spending the night over at a friend's house, and I pointed to him, like, why does that side of the sink look different from that side of the sink? So the parents explained to me what it was. And I'm like, oh, so you can put food down there. Not too much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And that was it. And walked out of the kitchen and, we're done. And that was it. But yeah, it's for her to sit there and say she didn't know what a garbage disposal was. I'm like, I know you're trying to breach that glass ceiling of stupid, but you've done surpassed that. And I don't think anybody believes you don't know what a garbage disposal is.
Yeah, Skep, that's an insult to a can of paint.
Yeah.
She is much, much stupider than a can of paint.
Yeah. She makes
paint at least provides color. Yeah. to rooms.
She makes a box of rocks look like it has a PhD.
How dare you hate on paint, Skep? So I saw this on Twitter the other day or yesterday, which makes no sense to me. Mm-hmm. Which is, I don't know if you saw this either. It was pretty much all over Twitter, but healthy dog euthanized, so that she could be buried with her owner.
Oh my God, I heard about that on the Lords of the Night stream. That was dumb. That's selfish. That is selfishness personified, because She had it in her will, if I understand it, and then the doctor carried it out. I'm like, I'm sorry. If the animal is healthy, don't euthanize it.
Yeah. Like, I could never just kill my pet just so it could come and be buried with me. If it wasn't sick, that doesn't compute with me.
You know, that's it's stupid. It's something that shouldn't happen. If your pet is healthy when you pass away, then it needs another forever home. It doesn't need to be euthanized and buried with you because that is the epitome of selfishness.
Yeah.
Why cut their life short?
Bequeath your pet to someone else.
Yeah. Why cut their life short because you passed away? That's just infuriating.
Yeah, so this article says CNN, Emma, a healthy Shih Tzu mix, was euthanized to fulfill her late owner's dying wish that the dog be put down and then laid to rest with her. The dog arrived at the Chesterfield County Animal Shelter in Chesterfield, Virginia on March 8th after her owner's death, where she stayed for 2 fucking weeks.
Wow.
During that time, the shelter was in contact with the executor of the dead woman's estate, trying to keep the dog alive. Well, good on that shelter.
Yeah.
We did suggest that they could sign the dog over on numerous occasions because it's a dog we could easily find a home for and rehome, said Karen Jones, manager of Chesterfield's Animal Services, told CNN affiliate WWB-TV. On March 22nd, the executor of the owner's estate came to the shelter to get the dog, a spokeswoman for the Chester County Police told CNN. The shelter again offered to have the dog signed over and be adopted out, but the executor declined. Emma was then taken to a local veterinarian, euthanized, and then taken to a pet cremation center in Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah, that's no. I would have signed
Wow.
over because I've seen Shih Tzus are cute. Shih Tzus are absolutely adorable. That would have been a dog that would have been adopted out in no time flat.
Absolutely.
No, Skep, don't euthanize them. Just remove all the warning labels and let natural selection sort it out. Because, you know, there are people that will use things for what they're not intended for and wind up killing themselves.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's my philosophy. Just, you know, if you want to weed out the stupid people, just take the warning labels off everything. I'm sure there's going to be one person that electrocutes himself by trying to blow dry their hair in the shower.
RVA says Chesterfield is close to where I live. Oh, that's a fucked up. Like, why would you do that? What kind of sick fuck does that? I want to kill my pet because I'm dying too.
That's like I said, it's the
Like, what
epitome of
the
selfishness.
fuck?
Yeah, that's just being fucking selfish. I mean, to me, it's like it's just as selfish, and this may be an I'm going to preface this with a possible unpopular opinion. It's just about as selfish as these people that spend tens of thousands of dollars to keep their pets alive when their pet no longer has quality of life,
Oh,
just
yeah.
because they can't bear to see them go.
I put my very first cat down at 7. I was 7 years old, and I made the decision to put her down, and she was only 5. But what had happened was we had been cat sitting my mother's friend's cat, and she was not friendly at all. She kept attacking me, and my cat eventually had enough, and they got into a fight on our stairs. And I happened to be going up the stairs at the same time as this fight broke out, and the cats kind of attached themselves with their claws to my pants. And I got myself free, and she, my cat, ended up somersaulting down the stairs.
Ooh.
And she ended up breaking her pelvis. So we took her to the vet the next day, and they said, well, we can do surgery on her. But she'll be on painkillers for the rest of her life. and she'll have to she'll suffer from pretty bad arthritis. And she's very young, so it'll be a long, very painful life for her. And my mom and I knew that my mom didn't have the money also.
Yeah.
And my mom was willing to try and find the money for it. But I was like, no, I don't want her suffering. It's better if we just put her down, because she was in so much pain. Like, she couldn't walk.
Yeah. Well, it's been over since 2008. She was 16 years old. She was a mutt. Her name was Lady. She was the most lovable dog. One of the most lovable dogs I had ever had as a member of the family. And one morning she woke up, and for some strange reason, she was walking in circles, not chasing her tail, just walking in circles. And when I got her to stand still and I was holding her head in my hands, her eyes were rapidly darting from left to right and right to left, just nonstop. We wound up taking her to the vet. The vet said that she had a tooth infection that leaked up into her brain or her eyes, and her vision and stuff, that was causing problems with her equilibrium and all this. And then he said, there are 3 medicines that we can prescribe that have had results in the past and that can help her. I said, is that a definite? He said, no, it's not.
Yeah.
I went, then I don't, she's 16 years old. I don't want her to suffer. Just let her go.
That's been a good long life.
Oh yeah. A good long life of hiding under tables when it's raining outside. She didn't like the rain. She thought she was a human. She did not like the rain. If it was too cold outside when you let her outside to go to the bathroom, and then you didn't let her in when she thought she needed to be let in, she'd whine, bark at the door like, hey, I'm freezing my butt off. You might open the door here. She was a great dog, a wonderful, and she grew up with my son. So he took it really hard because she was 6 weeks when he was 2 years old.
Aww.
So yeah, you could just imagine, because he looked at me when we were watching her go around in circles like that, and he goes, yeah, let's just take her to the vet, Mom. I said, yeah, it's time. She doesn't need to be suffering.
That sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I think I made the decision not to let any of my pets suffer when I was 12. My parents took us to Newark, New Jersey, and they had a pet Chihuahua that was in its senior years, that they were leaving basically in its own little apartment, that they would go down and feed him and spend time with him. But this thing was completely blind in one eye, going blind in the other, deaf in both ears, and had no teeth. And it's like, this isn't living for this dog. You basically have him by himself because you're afraid that he's going to attack people with the only defenses he has left, because he can't recognize anybody, because he can't see and he can't hear anything.
Poor puppy.
Yeah. He refused to euthanize him. God, Skip.
So what do you think about anti-vaxxers?
I think they're stupid.
What do you think about anti-vaxxers who don't vaccinate their pets?
They're setting themselves up for failure, because I've seen dogs with parvo. I've seen videos of dogs with parvo. I've seen dogs die of things that could have been prevented, and pets in general die of things that could have been prevented by vaccination. It's just dumb.
Because this article I've got says anti-vax movement spreads to the pet population. Of course it does. Fucking.
Because why prevent parvo? Yay!
So this is from CBS Sacramento. The growing anti-vax movement has spread to the pet population. Fewer dog and cat owners are opting to get their furry friends vaccinated because you're stupid. One local dog owner told CBS 13 when she got her dog's his shots, the throat, face, and eyes swelled up, and he got hives all over his body, so he had an allergic reaction. That can happen.
Yep.
That doesn't mean all dogs and cats shouldn't be vaccinated.
Exactly.
Veterinarians say that reaction is rare. Yeah, it is. um, they remind us most pets react just fine when they get vaccinated. That's because they do.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Ileana Halpern told us it's incredibly rare that we get an adverse reaction to the vaccine. How rare? 1 in 10,000, Halpern told CBS 13. In fact, the real danger is what can happen when dogs or cats don't get their shots, especially if for things like rabies or parvo. Ding, 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 ding.
Right.
It's almost as if we just said that.
Uh-huh.
Experts say there is no truth to the growing rumor that pet vaccinations can routinely cause things like seizures, uh, what is it? Seizures, brain disorders, or brain injuries, or even death. Yeah, I don't think so. What, autistic dogs from parvo shots? Is that what you're trying to say?
Look,
Seriously?
look, people, look. Dogs have ADD, cats have autism. This has already been established, and it has nothing to do with vaccinating your pet.
Ugh.
Just these people, I swear to God, I don't want to get, look, I'm sorry. Herd immunity. Look
Yep.
it up, and not from all these people that don't run science, that don't have scientific or medical journals out there. There are people as well as pets with autoimmune diseases that cannot get vaccinations. The only way to protect them is by vaccinating you, your children, and your animals.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Don't be selfish and go, well, because of A, B, and C, because I'm dumb and I believe all the bullshit that I have been told about vaccinations, I'm not gonna vaccinate anybody or anything in my house. You are stupid. You need your children taken away from you, and you need your pets rehomed.
Well, and it's so and these are the people who don't vaccinate their pets or their kids are the dumbasses who take their small Chihuahua dogs to, conservation areas, take them off their leashes, and then watch in horror as the coyotes eat them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, um, what the fuck do you expect, people?
Yeah, no shit. This is what's next. They're not going to spay and neuter their pets because it's not like we have a pet overpopulation or anything either.
Hey, irate prostate's here.
Yep. Hi, irate. These people, it's like I don't understand. I must have missed when the stupid switch got flipped because all this stuff is it's mind-boggling to me why people all of a sudden have got all of these things against vaccinations and against safety and against now I understand because I'm one of these people that looks at these new prescription drugs, weighs the options and goes, no thank you.
Yeah.
Because I remember when Enbrel first came out, and Enbrel used to be for RA, and then they started trying to market it for eczema and plaque psoriasis. I have both. I haven't had an outbreak of both in years because I have removed myself from a toxic and stressful situation. So I haven't had either one of those in a good long time. And so, I'm watching this commercial, and then they get to the side effects, and they're like, what severe side effects include, do not exclude lymphoma. And I'm going, cancer, itching, cancer, itch. Somebody hand me the lotion. Fuck that.
That's the thing. Like you get these, my life was changed with this antidepressant, and then at the end, this antidepressant may cause night terrors, suicidal thoughts, homicidal behavior. It's like,
yeah, I have an urge to kill my husband, but I'm not depressed anymore.
yeah.
Oh my God, And then I love how they sit there and try and market this. Oh, I was so embarrassed with my patches of psoriasis. I'm like, I was never embarrassed. People would point to the patches of psoriasis on my fingers and go, how do you live with that? I'm like, free zombie makeup.
Yeah, you know what? If I had to deal with, psoriasis or cancer, I'll take the psoriasis.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's like I remember a couple of my older videos when I would put my stuff on camera before I was, eating a better diet and actually taking my iron pills on a regular basis because I'm anemic. And somebody was like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with your eyes?" I'm like, "I'm anemic. So if I go without iron pills or an iron supplement for a while, my eyes get, like the little dark circles under my eyes and all this stuff." And they're like, how do you live with that? I'm like, well, the way I see it is I don't have to spend that much money on effects makeup to be a zombie during Halloween.
There you go.
Halfway there. I just, the stuff never bothered me. It's just, oh, it's a rash. Oh, yeah, okay, I got to start taking iron again. I mean, that's just me. It's never embarrassed me. People that try to sit there and make fun of me because I have all this stuff, I'm like, no, this doesn't bug me. It doesn't bug me at all. It's one person when my psoriasis was at its worst was like, oh my God, you look like a leper. Yeah, I'm waiting to lose a couple of digits any day now. I'll let you know how that happens.
How does psoriasis make you look like a leper? I don't see the connection.
I don't either, but it's people all my life have tried to make fun of me, or most of my life, especially during school, have tried to make fun of me because of my rashes and my anemia. And after a while, it was like just started bouncing off of me because I just stopped giving a crap about what they thought, because there are some things about you that you can't change. I'm always going to have eczema and psoriasis. Every once in a while, I'm going to have a breakout. It's in, and then how I manage it is how it gets taken care of, just like my bronchitis and my anemia. I know if I stop taking an iron supplement, I'm going to get up one morning and I'm going to see those dark circles starting to appear again because my behind forgot to take her pills. So, now I'm looking like one of the Walking Dead. So now I have to remedy that by going back on the iron pills. There are things that I can't eat because I learned the hard way that anything blackened, even though it's absolutely delicious, triggers my bronchitis. So that's off the list unless I have an inhaler. And I don't really like using inhalers because a lot of inhalers make me jittery.
Well, they've got steroids in them, right? So
Yep. But I live with it. We have somebody that was adopted into our family that has muscular dystrophy and multiple sclerosis.
Oh God.
Yeah, both. And I remember looking at her one day, I'm like, well, what do you do if people make fun of you? And through the hand, she had one hand that didn't look like the fingers could, curl up like a ball or anything. And all she did was just nonchalantly lift her middle finger and smile.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's just, we learn to roll with the punches. That's just what we do.
Well, that's the same thing that I have had to do in my life, is just, when people try and make fun of you, you gotta have a better comeback. Like, I was running with a friend of mine at school. We were holding on, I was holding on to her, and I also had my cane out. And this kid came barreling from the opposite direction right at us. And he yelled at me and he goes, "Are you blind or something?" And I'm like, "Actually, yeah, I am." And held up my cane. And he's like, "Oh, sorry."
The best reaction I've ever had from that was when I was living in Georgia. All right, catch you later, Ghost Dog. When I was living in Georgia, I was working at Party City. We had this guy behind the counter that was a high-functioning autistic person. That once you taught him how to do that one thing, that's all he could do, because if you broke his concentration to make a multitask, he just couldn't multitask. So he was a cashier. And he would check the bills. That was his routine. He'd check the bills you'd give him and all this stuff. And this lady walked up to me rather indignantly and went, "What is the matter with that guy behind the counter? He is so slow. What is he, autistic or something?" I said, "Actually, yes, he is."
That's awesome.
Oh, she shut up and walked out the door without saying anything. Like, oh crap.
Well, when I was about 4, I was in the mall with my mother and my uncle, and this lady came up to me, was like, "Oh, you're blind? Oh, you poor thing. Oh, here, let me give you a quarter." And I said, "No, thank you. I didn't bring any pencils to sell you today."
Oh God. I remember one argument
She
I
was
got.
most indignant.
I got into this one argument on Twitter, and this guy was sitting there trying to call me the one thing that he thought he all around it, never called me the word. And he's just all these insults. And finally, my response to him on Twitter was, I believe the racial epithet you're looking for is spick. It's okay. You can say it.
You bitch of Latin descent,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
you Mexican adjacent dumbass. Like,
He responded with, well, I can't say that. I'll get flagged. I said, the only person that's going to flag you is me, and I'm not going to flag you. I've been called way worse. I mean, I'll even make. I used to work at O'Charlie's, and they used to have this middle part that was surrounded the 2 booths that sat 6 people apiece, where had like wooden walls. And one day in between lunch and dinner service, they gave me the wood polish and a rag, and they said, "We need you to do the wood." I'm like, "Oh, really? You need a Cuban to do the wood? Wood, boat people. I see how you're gonna be. Okay." So I walked out of the kitchen cracking them up. Yeah, y'all racist up in here had the Cuban do all the wood because boat people. I get it. I got the boat people reference. Y'all just you just walked out of the kitchen.
What's next? You want me to make tacos?
You make roast pork and black beans and rice? What all y'all? Sheesh. But that's the way I've always been. And my mom I crack up my mother on a regular basis because I keep telling her when I used to grow up, I noticed certain things. We were watching a movie one time, and I'm not going to tell you guys the movie until after I tell you what happened. We're watching this horror movie, and all of a sudden, this guy cuts this other guy's head off with a machete. It's rolling down a hill, and my mom goes, "Oh, that reminds me. Did you check the laundry?" What does a head rolling down a hill have to do with laundry? She goes, tumble dry.
I was gonna say maybe it's the tumble dry cycle.
Oh, oh, like, really, Mom? She goes, what? Tumble dry. Head rolling downhill, tumble dry. Air, clothes in dryer. Go see if the clothes under the dryer. You have the weirdest association. I don't know. Am I related to you? Really? She started laughing because I would have never thought of that.
Although I'm not sure how dry a freshly decapitated head would be. All the blood would be flowing out of the bottom of the head, and yeah.
Well, I know, Jolly Roger. I always tell people sit there and go, "Oh, so you're Cuban, so you're this." I said, "Look, Cubans are many things, but I can guarantee you give us something, we'll make it float."
Your friendly neighborhood door surfer. That's great.
We can make anything float. Guarantee you. How do you think most of us got here?
So what type of stuff do you cover on Maddie's House of Geek?
I do Pajama Diaries every morning, which is a Monday mornings, which is a vlog. On Wednesdays, I respond to movie trailers. And on Fridays, I'm going to start trying to do like geek news, like movie news, gaming news, game releases, and things of that nature on that channel. Also, if anything on the spur of the moment comes up that's a geek in nature, it'll go on that channel. And also, when I get all the equipment that I need and the kitchen set up the way I want it, I'm also going to start doing cooking videos.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, and I'm going to start with Cuban recipes because people tend to be interested in those.
So what's your type? What do you play games?
Oh yeah, I like RPGs. I do MMOs. I like some puzzle games. I'm very picky about my puzzle games. I stopped playing the games on Facebook when I realized during my stint playing Farmville, yes, I played that I needed a life when I was like, well, I can only be out of the house for 4 hours, otherwise my crop's going to die. That's when I realized I was a little too obsessed and I needed to dial that back a bit. Because, yeah, once you start planning your life around your crops in Farmville, you have a problem. You need an intervention because that
Yeah.
ain't right.
So do you play on the PC? Do you play on a console?
I play on a PC, and once we get more memory for the laptop, because we're doing baby steps, I'm going to start streaming on Twitch again. And my old time, all my gaming stuff's going to be on the Geek Channel too. On Fridays was usually Fright Night, 2 Fridays out of the month, and then I would play like Use Your Words the other 2 Fridays of the month.
Okay.
So yeah, because I would play horror games, which was, the whole thing about Fright Night. And then Saturdays was an MMO, either WoW with a couple of friends or Ronan and I would play Lord of the Rings online.
Okay.
And also during the week, if I felt Wednesdays was ladies' night where me and two of my friends would play Torchlight 2 and have fun with that because you got to have fun. And to me, you have more fun playing a multiplayer game with friends.
It's true. I want to be able to I don't have very many computer games that I can play. That's why I got myself a PS4 just before Christmas. And I'm mostly a fighting games player just because of the audio cues.
Yeah.
And I mostly play 3D fighting games except for Mortal Kombat because that's a bit of a kind of in between 2D and 3D type of deal. But I cannot do Street Fighter or like Marvel versus Capcom or anything like that. It's because it's 2D.
Yeah.
I absolutely suck at those games. But get me in front of Soul Calibur or like Tekken. I was pretty good at Killer Instinct back in the day, actually. But that's only for Xbox now, unfortunately.
Yeah, I play fighting games from time to time, and there's some people that are like, "You're good at this." I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just randomly hitting buttons hoping I kill you. That's my strategy on fighting games. They're fun for me to play. It's just that unless I have actual time to sit there and read how to do the moves, I am that person that frantically hits every button hoping a combo goes off. That's me.
Yeah. So, do you do you react on the Geek Channel for any movie trailer you see, or like any particular genre of movie, or is it just whatever movie trailer that comes out?
So far it's whatever's piquing my interest.
Okay.
But I do open up to, if anybody wants me to react to a certain trailer, I'll do that as well. But so far, I think the reactions I have on there is It Chapter 2. This is just a few of them. The Godzilla King of the Monsters, Dark Phoenix, and Child's Play are the two newest ones.
Okay.
So yeah, I also reacted to the Sonic trailer, which you could just imagine my reaction when I saw that thing that they're saying was Sonic. I'm like, no, that's not Sonic. I don't know what that is, but that is not Sonic. Thank you very much. I think reacted to Brightburn. I want to see that movie, but I don't know how I'm going to arrange seeing it because it's an interesting concept of a superhero gone bad, like horribly bad. But yeah, anything that people want me to react to. And I'm doing look backs on old animes and cartoons. My first video of that was Battle of the Planets.
Okay.
Yeah, what we would know as G-Force for those of you that are more familiar with the G-Force name than the other one. And the next one, I'm still making notes and taking it, is because these are a little bit longer. They're more like documentaries and stuff. The next one on the list is going to be Star Blazers. And then the first anime review from Netflix, because I'm calling that It Came from Netflix, kind of like an old B-movie title, is Ultraman, the Ultraman anime.
Okay. So if you had to pick like a genre of movie that you liked the best, what would that be?
Action adventure.
Okay. What's your favorite action and adventure movie?
I would have to say Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That would make Pincalo very happy. Yeah, he's an Indiana Jones guy. Or no, I think he likes The Last Crusade. I can't remember which one he likes the best. I know he likes the except for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, that one, no.
That was terrible.
Yeah, that one was absolutely horrible. That one should have not. They were doing good until they did the whole alien angle, and I'm like, really, aliens? Really? You went there? Why did you go there? You didn't have to.
I could just picture Harrison Ford reading that script and going, "Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's a paycheck."
Yeah.
that's like I could just see him calling his agent, going, "Do you know what they put in this? Fucking aliens."
Aliens. Yeah. Oh my god, because there's so many good lines in all in the movies. Even in the Crystal Skull one, there's a couple of good lines in it. But the best one for lines has to have been the first one because of the interaction between him and Sala and and all that going on. Because when they first open the tomb and Sala goes, "Indy, why does the floor move?" You throw the torch down there, and Indy goes, "Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?" And I died when Sala said, "Asp is very dangerous. You go first." I'm like, he's already not thrilled about going down there. Now you're telling them they're poisonous, they're venomous snakes. Hey! I'm sure he really loves his job now. Wow. Yeah, well, Indiana Jones isn't the only, action. It's just the one that I could probably see a lot because I liked Top Gun too. Check your logic. I'm the consummate tomboy. You take me to a fantasy, sci-fi, or action adventure movie, even a murder mystery and a horror movie, I'm there. I'll even watch comic book movies. You tell me we're going to go see. I literally had a boyfriend tell me that he was going to take me to see Titanic when it was out in the movies. I looked at him dead in the face and said, "I know the ship sinks. That's all I need to know."
Yep. I'm the same way. Like, Pincalo enjoys softer movies than I do. I'm like, if we have a chance to have the kids out of the house, he's like, "What do you want to what horror movie do you want to watch?" Because he knows that there's no way I'm gonna watch anything other than like I still haven't watched Rob Zombie's movie 31, and I really want to. With Malcolm McDowell and and I still want to see his versions of the Halloween franchise.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen those. My son and I sat down and watched Freddy versus Jason. And when it was all over, we were talking about the movie, and he goes, I wonder if they're gonna do a Michael Myers versus Jason movie next." I said, "Paul, if they did that, it'd be quiet except for the screaming."
Yeah, they have to have one bad guy that talks.
Yeah, you have to, because those two don't talk. They just lurch around and just appear in front of you miraculously and kill you. And it's like he thought about it for a minute. He goes, "Oh yeah, you're right. Mike doesn't talk." I said, "That's why Freddy versus Jason weren't good, because Freddy's a smart ass and Jason is a silent partner."
Yes, exactly. I loved that. My mom got me that movie for Christmas when I was a teenager. And she goes, "Here, I got you a horror movie." And I'm like, "Oh, Oh, Mom. Because my mom is the biggest chicken ever. She is just I played a trick on her when I was 8 years old because we rented I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh God.
And she knew, like, there was a scene and she could tell that there was going to be a murder scene coming up. So she's like, I'm going to go make popcorn now. So I wait till she gets into the kitchen. I go and I silently turn up the TV because I knew, because, before it gets murdery, it gets quiet, right?
Yeah.
So I go turn up the TV and then I sneak into the kitchen and I wait because she's got her back turned, getting the popcorn out. I wait till the screaming starts and I go flick with off goes the light.
Oh God. I can just imagine.
The popcorn goes everywhere. She's screaming. I'm on the floor laughing. She's like, that's not funny. I'm like, oh, but it is. It really, really is.
I was like, my kid, he grew up, he grew up with me explaining if we were watching old movies, what the technology for the movies was at the time, so what to expect from any other special effects and stuff. So he didn't grow up saying, movie X is boring because it didn't have, A, B, and C. So he walked out into the living room when I'm putting a DVD, the DVD player, and he goes, what are you about to watch? I said, I'm going to watch this movie that everybody is hyped about when it was out in the theaters, and I want to, if it's any good. He goes, what movie is it? I said, The Ring. He goes, good luck with that. I watched it once. I'm not going to watch it again. I said, really? Mr. Stoic watching horror movies? He goes, yeah, this one, it's good. I'm just not going to watch it again because I got really creeped out. So good luck with that, Mom. And he goes in his room.
I don't think there's ever a movie that I've watched that was too scary that I won't watch it again.
Yeah, I don't think so. When I was little, my mom subjected me to The Exorcist, and I mean 12.
I was 12 when I first watched it. I asked if I could watch it, and my uncle was like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. And so, and I'm not going to lie, it didn't scare me during. It was one of those movies that when I watched while it was on, I was like, this is a really fascinating movie. And then afterwards, I was like, okay, it's way too quiet in this house.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, all I hear in my head is Reagan making demon noises. Okay, this is not fun. Okay, I can't sleep now.
Yeah, I was 9 the first time I got exposed to anything horror related, and it was New Year's Eve. My parents had gotten a babysitter, and they told the babysitter not to play anything on the television that was going to give me nightmares. That was an express rule, as well as when I was supposed to eat and go to bed and all that stuff. Right. So they leave to go do the New Year's thing and stay in the hotel so they don't have to drive home drunk. And we're watching TV, and he decides, out of all the things, because he was a friend of the family, very trusted, that it would be a really good idea to subject the 9-year-old me to the movie The Creep Show.
See, Creep Show wasn't, but I mean, for 9, Creep Show would be bad.
Right? So, and it was also the time my dad had switched jobs, and he was working nights, and the only way he could sleep during the daytime was in the spare bedroom with the window boarded up, and I could and it was dead of winter, so I had to sleep in there because it was warmer than my bedroom.
Yeah.
So here I am, 9, having seen this stuff. I can't open or close my eyes without seeing this guy walking toward me with roots growing out of him, asking where his cake is. I wound up literally having to sleep in my parents' bed. I think, they got a designated driver to bring him home. I wound up sleeping in bed with them. My mom called the babysitter the next morning and went, what in the hell did you make her watch last night?
Yeah.
And when he said Creep Show, Mom goes, what about do not make her watch anything that is going to scare her or give her nightmares. Did you not understand? It goes, well, it's not that bad. You're 23.
Yeah.
She's 9. That's not good.
Yeah, my dad, he introduced me to the Evil Dead franchise when I was 8, but he did it kind of backwards.
Oh, Lord.
He did it, he showed me, I think he showed me Evil Dead 2 first, and then he showed me Army of Darkness, and then when I was 10, I think, he showed me Evil Dead.
Yeah.
He's like, "You're too young," like, when I was 8 and whatever, he's like, "You're too young for the first one."
So we're going to do this backwards. Wow.
So he showed me the first one when I was 10, and I my room in my dad's house was in the basement.
Yeah.
So he shows me this movie about these people being in a cabin, turning into demons, and being locked in the cellar.
While you're in your basement.
And then goes, "Okay, go to bed."
Oh my God.
"Go to bed, honey." It's like, "Okay.
Yeah, no problem. I got this. Yeah,
I'm just gonna go downstairs now."
yeah. It was like my mom introduced me to The Exorcist and The Omen and those kind of
Yeah.
movies. So I wound up later on when my kid was, I felt he was old enough, showing those to him, and and I said, well, what do you think? He goes, okay, well, if I had to say which one was creepier, yeah, it'd have to be The Omen because that kid needs to die.
Damien, put the dog down, Damien.
Yeah. Because he was all through the whole, because we found the uncut version of The Exorcist.
Yeah.
So he got to see that scene with the crucifix and Reagan and all that.
Yeah.
And he was like, wow, this is intense. Okay, this is, all right, this is weird. This is kind of creepy. It's not scary, but it's kind of creepy. Is that pea soup? Yes, it's another reason why your mother does not like pea soup.
I think the creepiest part of that movie is when the young priest walks back in to find Father Merrin dead.
Yeah.
And she giggles at him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just like, oh, good fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Kill the child.
Yeah. That's like the day that I watched The Ring. After I watched The Ring, I watched The Grudge. And then I watched the extra footage after I finished watching The Grudge. And then my son heard me go, oh, I feel for her husband. He goes, what do you mean? I said, Paul, have you seen The Grudge? He said, yeah. I said, you know the scene where she like convolutedly and all contortedly climbs down those stairs like that? She goes, yeah. He goes, yeah. That wasn't CGI. That was her. He goes, yeah. Wow.
Honestly, The Grudge scared me just because of the noise.
Yeah.
But the stuff, everything that fascinated me with the like everything that happened with The Exorcist, all the effects,
yeah,
is really what fascinates me, because there was no like computer graphics or anything like that. It was all, like they had to build like 4 different beds for 4 different scenes. Like,
yep,
they had to, like, the first time that she gets possessed and she is flopping up and down on the bed. They had a mold and they had guys behind the wall physically pumping the mold back and forth and moving her like up and down.
Yeah.
It's like they had the room built in a meat locker.
Yep.
And it was sub-zero.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to act in sub-zero temperatures and emote with, frozen faces. And
yeah. Well, it's like it's in this era of computer generated effects. They've really relied on CGI way too much, in my opinion. Now,
I would agree.
Done well, it can add to a movie, but nothing to me will ever top a very well placed practical effect.
Yeah. Like Sam Raimi in the original Evil Dead trilogy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even Inception. Inception was practical when they, the spinning room and
Yeah.
all that. That was practical. I mean, to me, I would turn, even though a lot of people say it's more expensive, I don't care. I want to see a really good practical effect instead of you falling back and relying on computer generated effects. Because to me, I'm going to appreciate the practical effect more because more went into creating that effect for that movie or TV show than putting in code and programming a model on a screen and doing it that way.
Right. Which makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, to me, if you're going to do, like we watched, Ronan and I a while back, we rewatched I think it was the Greystoke movie. I think it was
Okay.
Greystoke. Where, and then, you saw the subtle effect of, him putting his hand down on the floor to illustrate to the kids how walking on his hands has deformed his hands. And you knew that was CGI because nobody's hands do that, but it was done so subtly that you suspended belief for just that moment to really think that his hands could actually do that in real life because the CGI was done so well.
Yeah.
Just, wow, okay. But then again, you have all these. Well, he's got a mustache. We got to take that off. I'm like, there's just have him shave. Can't he shave? It's called a razor. Can he shave? I don't mind Superman with a mustache. That actually be different for a change. It's. I argue with some of these people, and then again, I don't, because sometimes it's not worth it. Like all these people out here for quit the reboots. Can we stop with the reboot?
Oh my God, yes.
Can we quit with the reboots and the remakes? Especially the remakes, because no, I'm sorry, no, and it's all these
Like the Aladdin
the
thing.
Batman again. No,
The
no, no.
Aladdin reboot. Oh my God. I saw that the Will Smith's version of the Prince Ali song. It was terrible.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrid. I couldn't sit through the thing. I'm like, no, there are some things you leave alone. You can't change the story. It was great. Disney did it that way for a reason. Leave it alone, Disney. Quit trying to cash grab.
It's the same thing with the Lion King. They're redoing the Lion King. They're taking out Scar and the hyenas. And they're taking out the Be Prepared song. So I'm just sitting there going, what's the new story for the Lion King? Simba is born, Mufasa grows old, Simba grows up,
right?
And becomes the Lion King. Like
it's like for the Dumbo, when they do the Disney Plus service, the original Dumbo movie, they're going to edit out the scene with the crows because of the Jim Crow reference.
Oh, fuck off.
That's a major part of the movie. That's where you learn how to fly. You're going to cut that out? Oh.
Disney just needs to go into their vault and re-release everything on like Blu-ray and digital copy.
Yeah.
And they will make bank.
Yeah.
But instead, they've decided that they're going to ruin all of their awesome movies by redoing them.
Yep.
Because, God forbid parents be parents and actually speak to their children about what they were consuming through television.
Right? Because, that's unheard of. I was like, with the Batman, if we just take Batman and the ridiculousness of all the Michael Keaton was a good Bruce Wayne. He played a good Batman. And he did, when he said that he didn't want to do it anymore, they should have stopped. But no. And you had Val Kilmer, which was a piss poor Batman, in my opinion. And he was an okay Bruce Wayne. Not all that great of a Bruce Wayne, but an okay Bruce Wayne. And then you had George Clooney. I don't know who thought casting him as Batman and Bruce Wayne was a good idea, but there you go. That happened. And then they rebooted it, and everybody's like, well, this isn't, no, it's The Dark Knight. The Batman and the Dark Knight are not the same thing. The Dark Knight is a completely different comic set in a completely different thing. It's got a different feel for a reason, because that whole comic book series is darker.
Yeah.
Okay. But then again, they did it again. It's like you had the Joker in the first, and now we got the Joker in the second franchise, and then you've got this. I don't want to see the Joker anymore. I'm sorry. But if you're going to give me another Batman movie, showcase the fact that he's actually the world's greatest detective more than he kicks ass. Give me a Riddler. Give me a Penguin. Give me a more cerebral criminal that's going to make him think.
Yeah. Because the Joker's not that cerebral.
No, he's chaos. He's always done things. The only reason, okay, is the Joker a genius? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. But the only reason that he does things the way he does them is because they make him laugh. That's the only reason.
Exactly.
If it's funny, he'll do it. If it's not, he won't. That's it. That is the psychosis of his that's the nature of his psychosis. That's it.
Honestly, this show Gotham kind of presented Jim Gordon more like Batman than do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I watched the first few seasons of that. I liked how they introduced the stuff.
Yeah.
And then I loved the fact the first time that the Riddler and I think it was the Joker the Riddler and the Penguin standing next to each other.
Yeah.
And you saw the animosity in between the two of them. And just that hatred. You knew that if they were made to be in a room by themselves, within 5 minutes they'd be at each other's throats, because they can't stand each other. And you knew it just by the way they looked at each other.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, I'm tired of reboots, because it's always the same villains. There was more than just, the Joker. It was, and they tried, bless them, they tried doing Two-Face in the original franchise, but it didn't work. And Jim Carrey came close. He was a decent Riddler, but he wasn't, he
was more of a Joker.
Yeah.
Like, he should have been a Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Carrey should have been the Joker. And honestly, Jack Nicholson probably should have been the Riddler.
No, see, I liked Jack Nicholson as the Joker, because you saw the side to the Joker that a lot of people didn't know existed. The smart part, the chemical aptitude part, the genius part.
True.
Because let's face it, because of some of the movies he's been in, Nicholson does crazy perfectly.
Yes.
Okay. So if automatically, when you tell me that you casted Jack Nicholson as the Joker, I already knew he was going to steal the movie.
Yeah.
No matter how good Michael Keaton was as Bruce Wayne in Batman, Jack Nicholson was going to steal the show, and he did.
Yes, he did.
And he's been my favorite movie Joker ever since. I don't, and boy, a lot of people are probably going to argue with me in the live chat, but I never considered Heath Ledger's Joker the consummate Joker. He was just a force of flat out chaos, which to me did not do the Joker any justice.
Oh, Pincolo says Robin Williams would have made a much better Riddler, and I think he was willing to, chose not to, and went and did Good Will Hunting.
Which is good, because Good Will Hunting put him on the map.
Yeah, it did. But him as the Riddler would have been interesting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Because he has that spontaneous, attitude, air about him. You never know what he's going to do, but he's smart. He's a smart guy. Yeah, Mark Hamill is the best animated Joker. I will agree to that.
And then Jolly Rogers Bilgewater says, the Penguin was the best part about Gotham. Yes.
Yes.
The person they picked to play him was brilliant casting.
It was spot on. It was, because you got to see, how conniving he was. Yeah. Was he really? I mean, was he really subservient to Fish? I think his wheels were
Oh, fuck
turning when
no.
he was working for Fish.
Oh, yeah.
And then he just exploded, and you got to see who he really was when all of his plans were coming into fruition. And you're like, that's the Penguin that I know. That's the Penguin that I've been waiting to see, and there he is.
Yeah. When he's standing up there and going, I'm the king of Gotham, you're like, yes,
Yep.
that's Penguin.
Yep. And it's like and Rona and I also discussed the original Spider-Man movies. It's like, okay, Tobey Maguire made a good Peter Parker. Okay, I liked him as Peter Parker. There wasn't enough banter when he was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You need the banter as Spider-Man. That's part of what he does. Is he talks shit while he's fighting you. That's Spider-Man. Everybody expects that.
Yeah.
And it's the Goblin was God. Picking who they picked as the Goblin was like, oh my God. Love it. Love it.
Well, Sam Raimi was in charge of the Tobey Maguire movies.
Yeah.
So, anything Sam Raimi has his hands on, even if I'm not, because I've never been the biggest Spider-Man person. Like, he's
Yeah.
not one of my favorites. But honestly, anything that Sam Raimi touches, I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's probably gonna be a decent movie.
Yeah.
Um, like Drag Me to Hell was a pretty good movie. Spider-Man, like I said, I'm not a big Spider-Man fan, but the first movie I didn't mind.
Yeah. I didn't mind it either. And it was I want did I watch the third movie? I can't remember. God, it was so memorable. I can't remember if I watched the third movie or not. All I know is, oh wow, emo. What a way to screw up the Venom introduction. He's like, we have an emo Peter. Yay, that's great. Okay, never mind. It's bad when you can't remember if you've even seen the movie. That's how horrible it was. And that's what started a trend for me with the MCU. Is like, okay, Iron Man 1 was good, Iron
Yeah.
Man 2 was good, Iron Man 3, and
Yeah,
then
Iron Man 3 was okay.
yeah,
It wasn't awful, but it wasn't great.
yeah, well, it wasn't great. It's like, all right, you got it, and then you get to 3, and you're like, oh God, I'm seeing a trend. I'm not liking the trend I'm seeing.
Like,
It's like the
oh,
first 2 movies are okay, and then the third one is. Uh,
third one, oh great, Stark's got PTSD. All right.
I'm not saying I hated Spider-Man 3. I'm just saying it was meh.
Yeah.
It's not rewatchable to me. Check your logic. It's just okay. I saw it once. I might see it again to refresh my memory, but it wasn't that great of a movie for me. It was just kind of meh.
No, it wasn't a horrible movie, but it wasn't a movie to make you go, wow.
Yeah, exactly. And then I had to explain to the person I was with at the time the difference between the Green Goblin and the Hobgoblin because he kept waiting for. He goes, "Where's the dudes? Where's the dudes? This? Where's the dude? That's not the Green Goblin. You're talking about the Hobgoblin, the bored rich kid.
Yeah.
This is the Green
The
Goblin is
bored
different.
rich
Come
kid.
on, get with the program." I literally had to explain to him like the Hobgoblin came later. It was a bored rich kid. That's basically all he was a bored rich kid that became the Hobgoblin because, well, he was rich and he didn't have anything better to do, I guess. It's. Then
So
you
what's
have.
your thoughts on the Star Trek, like the new the new timeline versus, are you a Star Trek watcher?
Yes, I've watched just about. I haven't seen STD because I watched the premiere
Yeah,
episode
so
of
did I.
STD and went, "Oh wow, they mixed Klingons with the apes from the Battle of the Apes and orcs from the Lord of the Rings. This is not a Klingon. Um, I don't know what this is, but it's not a Klingon.
Yeah.
you know. Oh no, I don't like the new timeline at all. At all.
Yeah, I don't either. Like I don't like what JJ Abrams did. I don't like I Star Trek does do timeline stuff well, but the other problem, there is a problem that Star Trek does have, and it is when they've done some bad writing, they tend to go, that was a different timeline.
Yeah.
And that's what this is to me. It was, they wrote something that some people like, as an action movie, it's not bad.
No.
Right? If you just take away like all of the canon and stuff that you know about Star Trek and you just watch it as an action movie, they're not bad.
No. Well,
But
it's like when J.J. Abrams said he had not seen a single show nor read a single Star Trek book or watched a single Star Trek movie. I'm like, oh, so you don't know Star Trek, but you're going to make a Star Trek movie. Great.
see, I just think he wanted to make Star Trek and Star Wars just so that he could say that he could.
Yeah, he can't. He can't.
He just wanted to be the guy whose name was on the, competing franchises.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think he actually cared about either franchise.
No. And it's like when the writers for STD came out and said, well, we're going to do this and it's not going to be canon. I'm like, oh, you're screwing up already. You're just letting us know how badly you're going to screw that up. Gotcha. Right.
Have you seen the trailer for the Star Trek Picard series?
No, I have not.
It's actually surprisingly doesn't show very much. And also the way that the trailer has been done is it's kind of intriguing the way that they've done it. I'm really hoping from the way that this trailer looks, I'm really hoping that they're gonna at least try to be respectful to the fans. Because if they fuck up a Picard thing,
they're done.
They're done.
Well, see, first of all, I'm already signed up to Hulu through Spotify. I've already Netflix and Amazon.
Yeah.
Why do I have to sign up for CBS All Access to watch a Star Trek? Don't do that to me.
Yeah.
Because, they're relegating everybody in the US to having to sign up to CBS All Access, but everybody else all over the world can see it on either Netflix or Amazon.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? Because I'm not going to sign up to the CBS All Access service just to see that. I'm sorry. I'm not. So it's probably going to wind up being another show that I'm going to miss because I don't want to spend money on yet another service.
Yeah.
If you're going to me and my friends talked about STD, and it's like, if you're going to do a show like that, don't do it in an earlier timeline. Do it post Voyager where nobody has charted anything yet.
Yeah.
Continue the timeline. Don't go back and say, well, it's between here and here. And then you have technology on your ship that wasn't even available on the original series.
Yeah. It's 10 years before Kirk, but this technology is, totally here. And the problem with like stuff like CBS All Access, that's the same problem that the Stars Network had with Ash versus Evil Dead. Stars was only available in the US, and you could, if you wanted to, add the Stars Network to Amazon Prime, but only if you were in a certain countries.
Yeah.
So basically they alienated a huge chunk of people from being able to legally watch it.
Yep.
And then they were like, oh, well, the ratings aren't good enough, so we're going to cancel the 4th season. And it's like, well, dumbasses, the ratings are bad because you've limited the way people can watch it.
Right?
You fucking retards.
It's like, I just, what? When I watch the premiere of STD, I'm sitting there and I'm watching all this stuff happening and Michael pulling all of this shit. And I'm like, but she's not court-martialed.
And I'm like, what I didn't like was I'm sitting there going, okay, so you're expecting us to believe that Spock, as private as he is, never mentions that he has an adopted sister.
Thank you. Or she never showed up in any of the episodes where Sarek came to visit Spock. Because he always brought his whole family. His wife was always with him. So obviously they'd have, any siblings along for the ride. No. You just can't inject her and say, she's this. Because I'm sorry, a 100% human could not go through the type of schooling and training the Vulcan Academy put the Vulcan children through.
No.
There's no way she would have survived that. Her mind would have snapped.
Yep. And then you've got Klingons with their ships armored in their dead.
Yeah, something that they would have never done.
Yeah. And I got into a huge argument with my dad about this because he was like, these are older these are older timeline Klingons. And I'm like, okay, no, that doesn't matter because canonically we know that the Klingon culture has been in its current form for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, they could be rogue Klingons. And I'm like, really, Dad? Really?
Yeah, it's like the one thing when I saw that and I saw that those were sarcophaguses and I'm like, no. Because one thing that has been constant through all the different iterations of the Star Wars franchise throughout the years is once a Klingon dies and they do the ceremony and they scream to the heavens, they walk out of the room and they look at the person and go, do whatever you want with the body. It's an empty husk now. We have no use for it.
Yep.
Because they don't believe in burying their dead. It's like, do whatever you want. The spirit's gone. Like, whatever. Because we've already done our stuff. We've helped him get into Stovall, and then he's up there now, so we're good. But
RVA says Ash vs. Evil Dead is on Netflix. Yes, it is, but it wasn't put out. They only put it out after the seasons had aired on Stars. They put them out when they released them to like DVD and digital copy. They didn't release them onto Netflix at the same time as the actual episodes premiered. So you couldn't keep up with them. The only way to watch them when they were premiering was to either have Stars or to be naughty and go stream them on like Putlocker or something like that afterwards.
Yeah. I think the plural for sarcophagus is sarcophagi. Check your logic.
Yes.
Although and RJ, yes, I've seen some shitty movies too.
Although saying sarcophagus is fun.
Yeah. Oh my god, I can't remember what year the very first Star Trek movie came out. And
79, I think.
79, so I was 6. My parents took me to the drive-thru to see that. And I called it the Never-Ending Movie because I fell asleep. So I never saw the ending until I was like older. And so by older, I mean adult. And I was watching it and I'm like, nothing really, I looked over at the guy I was with and I went, nothing really happens in this movie. It's kind of boring. He goes, yeah, that's why I nicknamed it the motionless picture.
And try watching especially that tunnel scene that's 15 minutes of music.
Right?
Try watching that with your eyes shut.
Oh God.
Going, okay, what the fuck is happening now?
Right.
All I hear is music and
right. I was like, yes, I like Star Trek, I like Star Wars, I like sci-fi in general, also like fantasy, RVA. I like 4, 5, and 6 will always be my babies as far as Star Wars is concerned. Okay. But 1, 2, and 3 will always be better than 7 and 8 because I saw 8. God, I wish I hadn't.
We watched, we introduced my son, my oldest son, to the Phantom Menace over the weekend. Because my dad was like, my dad's a huge Star Wars guy.
Yeah.
So he's like, you gotta watch the Phantom Menace. It's better than it's still a good movie. it's still a good movie compared to what we have right now.
Yeah, compared to what we hit, yeah. Because I mean, I literally, there's one Saturday I tweeted my reactions, and then I took the tweets to the reactions of The Last Jedi, put them in a video, spliced other video clips in it, and then I uploaded it. Tried to upload it to YouTube, but Disney blocked it everywhere instantly, so I had to upload it to BitChute. And the whole time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, they thought this was good? Really? This is just, that's not lightsaber. Did you guys forget how a lightsaber fight between
Apparently.
1, 2, and 3 and these past? Because it's like, to me, every single lightsaber fight in The Force Awakens and The Last Mary Sue is like when you give sticks to kids and put them in the backyard and have them sword fight.
Yep.
That's exactly what it reminded me of. Some people get mad at me when I call it The Last Mary Sue, and I'm like, it's because she is. I'm sorry. You can't have one meditation session and then understand how the Force works. That's not how any of this happens.
Yep, exactly.
You know, you can't put a lightsaber in her hand and all of a sudden she be like expert, you know, bar none with the thing after years of using a staff weapon, because the two are vastly different. I mean, I'd rather, if you told me that I had to sit in the room with a Phantom Menace or the Last Jedi on loop, I'm taking the Phantom Menace. I will suffer through Jar Jar. I don't want to see The Last Mary Sue again. I'm good.
That the whole Star Wars thing is just awful.
Well, it's like, if I had never read The Infinity Gauntlet, then I would say that the Infinity War movie, because I haven't seen Endgame yet, the Infinity War movie was good. And I still say it's good, even though I have read like the first 3 or 4 issues of the Infinity Gauntlet, and I still remember a lot of those 4 issues. But having read those 4 issues and watching the Infinity War, they didn't do Thanos any justice. They just made him seem like a psychotic megalomaniac for no particular reason other than overpopulation. When in the comic books, that's not why he did what he did.
Yeah, someone in chat said the best part of Star Wars is the expanded universe, and I will agree with that freaking heartedly.
I love the Clone Wars cartoons. I've read a couple of the books. And it's like, I literally, in the BitChute video that I uploaded, the part about The Last Mary Sue where Leia just kind of flies back onto the ship using the Force, I took the original audio out of that, and that whole clip is put to the audio of the theme from the original Superman movie. Because
that's awesome.
And then the whole throne room fight scene, I sped it up and put it to the Benny Hill theme. Because this is what I'm like, this is just a comedy of errors. Let me just put this in here right now.
That's amazing.
So, because I had to just totally make fun of it, because it hurt my heart. I'm like, you took something I grew up with and you did this with it. I mean, up until you had me up until Metachlorians, and I'm like, can you just say the kid was strong in the Force and you don't know who the dad is? Why did you have to be the Mary Magdalene? Why did you have to put a Virgin Mary in the movie? I don't know who the dad is.
I make the analogy that the Force and Jedi religion reminds me of Scientology because of the midichlorians.
Yeah.
You just replace midichlorians with thetan levels.
Right?
And you've got Scientology.
Yeah. What they're doing to these franchises. And then people were sitting there saying I was overreacting because, yes, being 45 years old means I did grow up with the original Thundercats. Yes. I even saw the reboot. The reboot is good. The new one, whenever it comes out, because you haven't heard anything past the original buzz, I refuse to call it what they want to call it. I will forever call it Tumblr Cats Snore. Because I refuse to call it Thundercats because it's not Thundercats.
Yep.
And when they rebooted She-Ra, before they started it, because I haven't seen a single episode, I'm watching MJ Tanner's breakdowns on the episodes. I've already come to the conclusion that if I were to actually try and sit down and watch She-Ra and the Princesses of Social Justice, I would watch punching my laptop monitor.
Oh, that's a great She-Ra and the Princesses of Social Justice. That's great.
Or I think my original retitling was She, Him, and the Social Justice Princesses. Because it doesn't look, everybody's like, well, she's 12, she's 13. At 12, a girl has a bit of a figure. They're in the middle of puberty. Give me a damn break. I mean, exactly. you don't have to give her double D cups, but she doesn't look like a boy when she's 12.
Exactly.
I remember when my son, because I grew up watching all kinds of things with my and then I would watch things with my son, and we were watching Teen Titans, and we watched all the Teen Titans, and then we got up one morning, we turned on Cartoon Network, and because Teen Titans was supposed to start, so we're going to have a new episode to a new season of Teen Titans, and we're excited. And here comes the opening theme for Teen Titans Go.
Oh.
And we look at each other and we're like, okay, new theme. Every once in a while, they'll put a new opening to a show. We can do this. Okay, they look a little weird. They don't look like they did in Teen Titans. And then the show started, and it was my kid that said it. Mom, this is stupid. I know, right? Mom, do we have to keep watching this? Because this is really dumb. Let's see if we can watch something else. Okay, because my kid was born in 92. So when he was old enough to watch cartoons with his mom, we watched Iron Man of the era. We watched the kid Iron Man as well as the grown-up Iron Man. We watched Spider-Man and, all of those comic book cartoons. So he was fully introduced to Batman, the animated series, and Superman and Spider-Man, Iron Man, all those. So we watched Teen Titans, and then, here comes Teen Titans Go, and he's like, do we have to watch this? This is dumb. And this is a kid who loves Ed, and Eddie.
Man, I've heard horrible things about Teen Titans Go.
Oh, it makes fun of itself too much. Way too much. And it's just, I can't. When you can't sit through the first 5 minutes of the show, there's something really wrong with the show.
Well, on that note, we've whiled away 2 hours of our lives together. Yeah. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves. I sure had a good time. I want to thank Maddy for coming out and hanging out with us. Do you have anything coming out that you want to show?
No, just go check out my secondary channel, because that's my stress relief channel. So I'm trying to get, more subs and stuff there. But as long as everybody follows my Twitter and stuff, they'll get updates as to when I'll start streaming again through OBS. Because once that happens, the Morning Brew News Show will be back.
And what's your Twitter? My
Twitter is, I'm going to put it over here in the chat.
Awesome. That was the one link I forgot to grab.
All right, there we go. It is now in the chat.
All right, awesome. Thanks for coming out, guys. Remember to come and watch the Star Trek stream tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, where Skeptalk, Hammer, Irate Prostate, and maybe Polydub and I will be talking about The Way of the Warrior, where Worf joins Deep Space Nine. So that'll be fun. And remember to come watch Pincalo and I do the blind and the special thing on Sunday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for watching, you guys. Have a great weekend, and we'll see everyone later.